Testing. Alright, this is Dan Gregg speaking. I'll give you a little update on what we're doing here, because I got it on manual focus. Actually, I should have it on autofocus until we get over to the screen. There we go. So now it's on autofocus. So the weather outside, you want to see it. It's a frozen waste. The weather, sun low in the sky. You know, it's about, I don't know, what time is it? It's almost 8 o'clock. Alright. I think it's like 5 degrees out there, something like that. So we have a nice fire going here, and the wood stack. So what have I been working on? Alright, so the lighting will be dim. I totally reorganized this space. Got rid of a lot of stuff. Tried to simplify things here. There's the camera equipment. Books, put a lot of books away. Put the soundboard back. So we're working on a project over here. We're turning this wall into a bunch of bookshelves. We're gonna paint that today. I think we're gonna paint it a light green, and then the shelves will go in front of it. Plans for the shelf, sort of rough plans for the shelf. Okay, so let's go over here to the computer here, and I'll tell you what's been going on that front. Okay, camera locked into the stand, and now we gotta put it on manual focus. There we go. Tilt the screen here. Right about there. Okay. So I last told you about this Good News of Messiah being uploaded here, and I'll tell you what the progress on that is here. If you saw my last video, you will see that this is the directory you can browse right here. Okay. And then I told you about the updated charts. This is the directory you can browse for that. Okay. That's a note I stuck in while I was doing it. I've been doing a little light editing. Okay, so before I told you the whole book of Matthew was up. Alright, so now what's up? We've got the whole book of Mark. So let's see, that starts here. We click on Mark, and we expand the page. There's Mark, and the red, of course, represents the last cycle of editing. Okay, so I haven't taken that out, but the object is to get up to page by page first. We've got the book of Luke. So there's the beginning of Luke, and as you can see that there's no edits on this page. Alright. We've got the whole book of John. All right, show you the first page of that. Okay, progress. We've got just under half of the book of Acts. So it goes up to Acts 13. I spent some time editing the notes on Acts 13 because it wasn't complete. And okay, so we have the book of Romans from before. I put in the book of Galatians here. I didn't do any editing on that, but here's the beginning. So the updated note is the red note. Okay, so most of the red notes in this date, or most of the substantive red notes, deal with the issue of what is the meaning of Yeshua's atonement, namely mitigating some of the remnants of the penal substitution language that used to be in the former editions of the Good News of Messiah, and greatly expanding the right explanation. And most of this note it's mostly explaining why Yeshua died. Okay, so that has to do with cleansing and purging and the purgation offering. In other words, to the elimination of sin through the blood of Yeshua. Okay, puts it all in theological perspective. Okay, so we got to the book of Galatians here. Now, what else can I tell you here? So that resource is available. So let's go back to chronology updates. If I put a U in there, that's not going to work. Let's try this method. Yeah, okay. Computer tends to remember. Okay, so here's the updated charts page for the chronology. And let's see, what would be interesting to look at here? All very interesting here. Okay, so let's so the directory is now in reverse order, probably because that. So we're now going to go down. Time forward is scrolling down. So let's look at here we go. 33 to 36. All right. Okay, you can see this better on your own computer, which is why I'm uploading it. But in order for me to talk about it, I'll look at it here. Okay, so we see the year of the crucifixion here. This is AD 34. Okay. And over here in the middle of the page, the first thing, the first column is the AD year. Okay. Year of Adonai, Anno Domini. The second is the year of the world, or the year of creation. Okay, and then those are delimited by the spring equinox here, this green column. And then we have the sabbatical year cycle. Okay, so Actually, you can't see much of the cycle because this is only showing about 3 or 4 years here. These are months in the year of Yeshua's ministry, with the boundary of the months calculated astronomically. Let's see, where did we put that? That's using this program right here. Okay. Get it to remember the program right here. So, besides checking in, this is the program I use for calculating when the new moon is. Okay, so if we put in to calculate another year, 2026. Alright, and 3 for displaying it. Okay, so we'll see here. Okay, let me check the focus here so make sure. Got it focused as best we can. Okay, so this is the first month of the coming year, or the first month of the Aviv here, in AD 2026. Okay, and so you can see the Passover date. So this is the new moon day here, with the new moon being sighted here on Friday evening. Okay, and if you look down here, this bottom calendar, that's our Gregorian calendar. So Friday evening would be, okay, so it scrolled to the next month. So this program loops. Do I have to go back to the beginning? Because I inadvertently typed a key. Okay, so March 20th here is when the new moon is seen. Okay, calculated for visibility in Jerusalem. And so the first day of the month is March 21st, so 1. So we count off 14 days here, and this is the preparation day of the Passover. So the actual Passover Sabbath this year actually coincides with the weekly Sabbath. Okay, so the 15th of the month, the first day of unleavened bread's on the weekly Sabbath. That would be April 4. Okay, and then we count 7 days of unleavened bread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's the 7th day of unleavened bread. That's on the following Friday, April 10. Okay, and when I speak of April 10, I really mean I always speak of the day part of the day. So these squiggly lines, that's the day part of the day. But actually, the last day of unleavened bread, the Sabbath for that would begin at sunset on April 9. Okay, so there's a double Sabbath here, April, and then followed by the weekly Sabbath down here. So this is the program that I use to calculate all of the dates in here. Now I double check it or confirm it with Stellarium to make sure the dates are correct. Okay, so we see here that the crucifixion is on Wednesday, March 24, AD 34, Nisan 14. And the resurrection is 3 days later, on Saturday, March 27th, which is Nisan 17. So that's 3 days and 3 nights. And then we have, a quotation here from Matthew 28:1, which is like this in the Good News of Messiah. But the later of the Sabbaths, the dawning for the first of the Sabbaths, Miriam, Ha Magdalene, and the other Miriam came to look at the grave. Matthew 28:1. So that's the later of the Sabbaths. Now, why does he speak of the later of the Sabbaths? Okay, so let's see. Answer that question, no, because we're not looking at that program. We want to look at this one here. So if we key in AD 34, like that, I might not get what I want here. No, this isn't right, because that's still AD 2026. Alright. We gotta put 2 in first, then we put in AD 34, and then we put in 3. Okay, so now we see AD 34 here. Alright, if we zoom in on Passion Week here, okay, so this is calculated for AD 34, year 4173 of the world. So you see that over here, 4173. Starting at the spring equinox on March 22nd. Okay, so here's the spring equinox, 1. Okay, now we're using the Julian calendar because before 1582, historical calendar is done in terms of the Julian calendar. So March 22nd is the day of the spring equinox, and the previous year had 366 days. Okay, so we see that the Passover, the 15th, falls on Thursday here, actually starting the evening before Wednesday evening. The preparation day was on the 14th. Okay, and that would have been, the 14th is March 24, and March 25th is Thursday, the first day of unleavened bread. So we have a case of the first day of unleavened bread, which is a Sabbath, and a regular day, Friday in between, and then the weekly Sabbath. So we have 2 Sabbaths in Passover week. And this occurs in other years too. It's just not going to be this year in 2026 because the first day of unleavened bread falls on the Sabbath. But here we can call this the later of the Sabbaths. Okay, it's a way of distinguishing between these 2 Sabbaths that are really close together. Okay, and then the 3 days and 3 nights, he was put in the grave on the 14th. So that's 1, 2, let's see, this is a day. This is part of the day here. 1, 2, 3. And the nights are here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so these gray blocks, these fat blocks, those are nights and these are days. But when it's a Sabbath, it turns to a big fat white block. That's the night part of the Sabbath. And then the skinny one is the day part of the Sabbath. So you can count 1, 2, 3 days and 3 nights. 1, 2, 3, and he rose on the later of the Sabbaths at the dawning into the first of the Sabbaths. Okay, so this is the program I use for this to calculate these dates. Okay, and this section of the chronology, this is where it all began, right here, the crucifixion and resurrection of Yeshua. Okay, and I can show you, well, I guess this page, we can go back here and we can look at the next page. And that would be, let's see, AD 36 to 49. Alrighty. Okay. So now you can see the sabbatical cycle more clearly here, since this is a broader view here. Year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. This is AD 40. This talks about an episode from Josephus here. where he tells us how Caligula tried to put a statue in the temple. He planned to announce a statue to be put in, and then his Roman official for Judea, who was Petronius, delayed in putting the statue in the temple, and a Jewish protest continued for 40 days. Okay, and they were neglecting their crops, which means they had plans to sow crops. So in the latter part of AD 40 here, after the sabbatical year, they were fixing to plant their crops, but they were neglecting it. Okay, so that indicates that this is a non-sabbatical year from the fall of AD 40 to the fall of AD 41. That's actually the first year of the sabbatical cycle and the 15th year of the Jubilee cycle. And Petronius was delaying and implementing the emperor's orders, and the emperor sent a death warrant out to have Petronius executed. But the emperor died, and the news of his death arrived in Judea before the death warrant arrived. So Petronius was spared because he delayed, and he knew it was unwise to put a statue of an idol in the temple. Okay, so that's what a good deal of this is all about. All right, so thank you for listening. This resource is online for you. There's much to be learned, and I've found that the best thing to talk about and motivate me to make videos is just to talk about what I'm interested in. So you can pray that the Holy Spirit moves me to be interested in the right things, because I've discovered that I talk much better when I'm interested in talking about it. All right. Thanks for listening. Dan Gregg, over and out.